So you're back on her another episode of the Indigo Podcast. Today I'm gonna be giving y'all a little recap of I believe, it was last Saturday. I had a cross country meet. I didn't really post about it, so you probably don't know. I posted on my archive. If you don't know my archive, you at Young Adon, you follow my archive. But basically, it was a cross country meet, my first cross country meet, and I just wanted to give a little recap because I've seen people do recaps on their races, and I've heard other podcasts do, and it's really interesting to me. So I think y'all like it too when I do it. So first thing I'm gonna talk about is the stats, the statistics, basically the metrics of the race. Like, how did it look in terms of data? So first thing, it was about 2.45 miles. That's what my watch log obviously can be a little bit off depending on the GPS of your watch, but it was around 2.5 miles, which is technically it was around 2.5, but it's a 4K, 4 kilometers. It was a 5:53 minute per mile average pace, and my official time was 14:37 because my watch clocked about 14:43, but the course was a little bit shorter than what my watch said, so that's why my official time was a little bit faster. But average heart rate, take this with a grain of salt, because heart rate with the watch wrist monitor, it can be kind of off, to be honest, because it's pulling from your wrist instead of if you have a chest strap or a arm strap, whatever you call it. I know Koros has one. That's more accurate. I ain't gonna lie, I don't really know the specific. Obviously, your chest, your heart is around this region here. I'm not really sure why, so don't quote me on that. But according to my watch, my average heart rate is 167 beats per minute, which is around zone 4, give or take. And then I just thought this was cool. I always think this is cool when I look at any of my runs, like your fastest recorded pace out of the whole run. My fastest recorded pace was about a 4:01 minute per mile pace, which is, I'm assuming it's when I first drove out, because I drove out pretty aggressive. So that's pretty much the gist of the stats and kind of what happened. So main thing to take of that is my my official time, 14:37. So 5:53 minute per mile average pace. So that's pretty cool. So second thing, dang, I'm thorough right now. Second thing, how was the course? Like, what was the course like? Because obviously with cross country, it's a little bit more technical compared to a track. Because a track is a track. It's as flat as it gets, zero elevation. So in my opinion, it was relatively flat. I mean, there's a few slouches, I guess, in the ground. Other than that, it was very flat. It was a grass course. But the only part that was significant amount of elevation was towards the very end, because if you ran it, you can ask any of my teammates if you're curious. Basically, it's a hill, and you end like in the, I believe it's the softball stadium type area, and there's a clock and like a little like shuttle right there. So basically, it's a hill, and you're just like, because okay, you're coming up and you're going, and at first, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, okay, this hill is probably gonna slow me down, but my coach is like, attack the hill. So I'm like, bet. So I attacked the hill, and it actually boosted me more than I thought, because coming down the hill, you have all that, I was about to say inertia, probably, I don't even know. You have all that built up momentum. That's a better word. I don't even know if inertia applies to that. But anyway, you have all that momentum, and you're going up it, and then you're going down, because when you come down, you have all that speed, and it's propelling you down into the finish. So anyway, the hill wasn't that bad. I mean, I didn't really know what to expect, so I've never ran at a hill like during a whole race. You already have like 2 miles on your legs, and only when we do hill repeats, it's like 8 to 10 repeats. So you really have no mileage on your legs other than the warm up. So other than that, it was relatively flat. And like I said, the steep incline helped me kick, because I started kicking like, by kick, if you don't know what kick means, a kick is when you basically start picking it up aggressively to finish the race. You do that pretty much any race, 5K, 10K, even a 400, to any race, you finish strong. So I started kicking, I would say 300 to 40 meters, not 300 to 40 meters, that didn't make sense, 300 to 400 meters out, and I started picking it up, and the hill, like I said, propelled me down to finish the race. But in terms of complexity of the course, I had one issue like in my head, because I was running, and I ran the first loop, and I was fine because it had a mile marker, so I'm running it and like I'm chilling. And then the second time I come around, I was confused because I didn't know if I had to make a right, because I thought I was going the wrong way. I'm like, yo, what's going on? So I keep going, and I'm trying to see, okay, where are these people going? So he made like a wide turn, and then you came back to where you hit the first mile. Because when I first came through the first mile, I'm like, why is there a 2 mile stand right there? I'm confused. And then when I came back for the second time, I'm like, oh, like that makes sense, because it's you're looping it twice, and then you go to the hill and finish in the stadium, like I said earlier. But other than that, course is pretty much straightforward. I like the course personally. It felt like a really fast course, so course was cool. Only thing was a little bit of confusion on my part, but it got corrected, so it's no sweat on that. So, all right, third thing I wanted to talk about, delays. It got delayed like 2 to 3 times. It was interesting because originally my group was set to run at 9 p.m. and the race started officially at 6:30 p.m. and I believe the first runners took off at like 7:10, but it started looking a little bit gloomy, and we were kind of like, okay, because I mean, when I plan, because the thing is with Garmin, that's the a watch brand I use personally. If you plan it, like you can plan the event. So I put that event in my watch, like the CLE 4K, like just so I can see it. And on the forecast, it had no type of thunder, no type of, obviously the weather can be fluky, but it just didn't say it, so I didn't expect that. So we saw clouds and I heard a little bit of thunder, and we're like, oh. And then it starts getting dark, and people start seeing lightning, so we had to wait in the bus. You know, if you're football, basketball doesn't really have to worry about that. Any outdoor sport, if you get a lightning delay, you have to like go somewhere else away from it. So we're sitting in the bus for like 30 minutes, people playing Uno and game pigeon and stuff. I was kind of chilling. And then we came back, then I started warming up. So I took a 1.5 mile warm up. And then, when you start getting in that mode, like I was like getting in that mode, and then another lightning delay hit. I was like, oh. So we go back to the bus, and I'm like, that's interesting. So I'm just sitting there because I was like getting into it, and then, it had to be stopped. So I was like, all right. And then we came out that time too. Apparently we weren't supposed to go back on the bus because they already started the race. So JV, they had to wait and then hop into another race because they literally when you walked out, they shot the gun, and we were like, like I thought we were on lightning delay, and apparently no. So they shot the gun and then took off. So we had to push the JV back a little bit. Our time got pushed back like about an hour. On my watch it said we started at 9:54. That's when like we first started. So I got delayed about 45 minutes to an hour. But other than that, I mean, it didn't really bother me. I mean, if you look at the bright side of it, it's cooler weather because it's later in the day, obviously. So I mean, it felt pretty fine in terms of weather or heat and humidity. It felt fine. It was just a little bit delayed, and we had to get home a little bit later. But yeah, other than that, just pretty cool. It just got delayed like 2-3 times, which is interesting. But sometimes stuff happens. So I just wanted to mention that because the delays were very interesting. But fourth thing I wanted to go over, like, what was the goal going into this race? Now, I'm going to be pretty blunt about this. I didn't really have a specific goal because this is my first ever, like, organized 4K. Like, I've ran 4K, obviously, during runs, but not, like, all out, pretty much. So, I didn't really have an idea of what was going to happen. Like, I was pretty oblivious, and I kind of like that about it. Like, it's kind of like the unknown. Like, I just didn't really, obviously, I've been doing training that I've done 2-3 mile tempo, so I kind of know what to expect. But I mean, in a race, you don't really know what to expect in a sense. But the work, I mean, it can set you up, but at the end of the day, stuff can happen. So anyway, I did have a goal of what I wanted to go out for in that first mile because I talked to my coach the week before. I'm like, hey, what do you want me to go meet? What do you want me to go meet? What does that mean? What do you want me to go out in at the first mile? So she's like 5:45. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I programmed that into my watch. I put that as the average pace, and that was about a 14:17 overall. So I got kind of close to that. That wasn't really a hard goal, but that's just what my watch calculated. So anyway, first mile ended up being, like I said, no, I didn't say that. The average was 5:53. But my first mile was like 5:54, I believe. So it might have been a little bit faster because obviously the course was a little bit shorter than what my watch said. But yeah, I believe it was like 5:50 to 5:54. But other than that, I mean, I had a loose goal of 14 to 15 minutes because one of my friends asked me before, like, hey, what do you want to run? I was like, I can run 14 to 15. So I thought that was very doable for me, and I could, put out a good effort in that range. So I was like 14 to 15. I ended up running 14:37. So overall, I'm happy with the effort. Like, I mean, I didn't really have a hard goal, but I think the main gist of this was to put out an effort and see where I'm at in terms of the 4K distance. Because obviously, the main distance is 5K but 4K is kind of like not even a warm up, but it's kind of just a different distance where you can kind of push a little bit more. So overall, I didn't really have a hard goal. I just kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do, but I think it's a good baseline for the next meet this Saturday. It's in Friendswood, so that'll be pretty cool. But fifth thing I want to kind of talk about is what did I learn from this race? One thing I really learned is a race doesn't have to be perfect for it to be considered a good effort, because overall it was I think I performed very well, and I think my coaches agree, but it was just this one part. And with anything you do, a lot of people, and I'm not gonna lie, I think a lot of humans just tend to do this naturally. You do something and you pick out that one bad thing, and there's like a billion good things, and it's that one like mishap. You're like, dang it, like crud, like what's going on? So basically, what happened was, the magical hill I was talking about earlier. So when I was kicking, I was cooking, like I was moving up that hill, like because I used to train for the 4, so I got some leg speed on me. So I was, know what I'm saying, I was moving. So I'm going up the hill, and I'm literally like storming down the hill. I'm like, yo, like I'm cooking, and I see this dude, don't know what school he went to, but he had like a little headband on, and I'm like, I'm about to outkick this dude, like come on. But the thing is, I didn't consider. Well, I heard about it before because she was like, hey, like, there's this lady, like, hey, watch your step. Because at the end, like I said, there's a little slouch in the ground. So he's on the left of me. So I try to go to the right and cut around him without cutting him off. And little do I know, there's this big gate, and it could only fit him. Like, he could only go through the gate. Because if we both went through the gate, we'd probably collapse and fall. So I, like, had to, like, stop. Like, not stop. Like, I had to slow down for a second. And he just cut in front of me, and I'm like, oh. So then I start trying to outkick him, and then he kicked before me, so it was kind of like, all right, but I was really trying to catch him. But I mean, overall, really good effort. I just learned that even like that one little mishap, it's not really that serious. I think if you really put out a good effort and your intentions, like deep down, you're not lying to yourself, I think it was a good effort. So other than that, I mean, I just learned not everything has to be perfect. I think done is better than perfect, and a good effort is better than everything being 100% dialed in, even though, that's not an excuse for sloppiness. But either way, good effort is just, I just wanted to mention that's the one, I guess, mistake I made on that race. Not even a mistake. It's just kind of like, I didn't really plan that out correctly. But other than that, last thing I wanted to leave y'all off on is like, what is my goal going into the next meet? And that's this Saturday. So my goal is obviously just a PR. I think I can beat that time. So I would say 14:30 is a good goal, because whenever I have, let's say like I ran a mile, like, because the thing is, well, as the race gets shorter, it gets harder to knock time down. But as it gets longer, I think it's not easier, but it's more doable and more manageable. So obviously I ran 14:37. So I would say 14:30 is my new goal. So, like, let's say if I ran like a mile, like 5:28, my new goal would probably be like 5:50 to, well, not 5:50, 5:20 to 5:25. So, just getting better. PRs don't come every time, but when they do, you really got to lean into that. But just progressing. I think progressing in any aspect of life is the main gist of it. But main goal is just, I would say 14:30. That's the time I'm shooting for, and I'm very positive I'm going to hit that time. So, other than that, not just a good effort, try and hit that time. Other than that, not really any other goal. Just have a little bit of fun, hit a good effort, put it out there, and that's really about it. But if y'all want a recap of the Friendswood cross country race, let me know. And recap of pretty much most of my races in the season, because I just think it's cool to go over the stats and go over what I was thinking, the things that may have went right or wrong. So other than that, that was my little Sealy cross country meet recap, and I'm gonna see y'all next time.